I'm Jeremy Frey. I'm Professor of Physical Chemistry at the University of Southampton. My interests in research in chemistry are on the borders of chemistry and physics. I do a lot of work with lasers, developing them and using them to probe molecules in somewhat unusual circumstances. But for the last 10 years I've also been very much involved in the UK e-science programme, looking at the way computation, information technology, and in particular the sort of web and semantic web, will make a difference to the way we undertake and record research. So changes in methodology, particularly looking now at the way that all equipment will be on the network. We're in the Internet of Things is really becoming a reality. Everything can be networked. All people and equipment are really somewhat the same. We still traditionally in the university still record a lot of information on paper notebooks. Industry has often moved on ahead of us in this. It's very hard to share bits of paper. Work collaboratively is much easier if you can have a digital artifact to share around. So we've been looking very much at the impact of technology that will lead to electronic lab notebooks. We've developed some stuff ourselves in this area, some of the software, trying to integrate some of the semantic ideas to make information much more shareable. And probably critically now we see that the most important thing is by having well understood metadata, it's much easier to integrate data from different sources. So we are trying to start to train our students to actually record information in this way. And some of our software we use to run, for example, I've got a fairly large collaboration which had up to about 20 people on it, some no longer physically located in Southampton, and by using a sort of blogging style system, we can actually run the group and save a lot of time. People don't have to prepare separate presentations. All the information is there, easily shareable, and we can look back and see things so we don't repeat the same mistakes over and over again. But looking now to how this can be rolled out with undergraduates to make sure that they actually are fit for the new world. They're very adept at using social networking tools, but they don't necessarily use those for work in the sort of way of recording a reflective journal of their own work, which is one aspect of what the notebook is. And I'm also particularly interested in the idea of being able to plan. We're all told to plan experiments. It's all much better if you do, which is very clearly the case. But sometimes it would be much easier as a cell if those plans were then used much more in the subsequent recording of the experiment. So looking at how we can enhance the reasons for planning and working out. And similarly, working not just with wet labs but with computational people, they often think, oh, they don't need to record anything because it's very easy to rerun it. But they're the ones who can never find the file to rerun again. It's very hard. They generate a lot of information, even more than experimentalists. But that does just show that these days, both computation and experimentally, we generate large amounts of data. You can no longer print out the spectrum on a piece of paper, stick it in the book. No, that's always going to be somewhere else. It's physically somewhere else, stored in a different store perhaps, but logically has to be part of your notebook and easily available and searchable. So those are the sorts of areas that we're trying to work on. And that leads to all sorts of interesting thoughts about how the lab itself can be structured better. Many of our labs have building management systems, but the researcher never seems to have access to the building management system. So you end up putting your own system in to record the temperature of the lab, when it could easily be there. Similarly, wiring the alarm for the fridge to the building management system is not something that we seem to be able to do. But why are we having to recreate the infrastructure to phone up people to tell them that their -80 freezer has stopped working and their hard-won sample is about to decompose? It shouldn't be necessary, but it is at the moment. And these are things that design areas that need to be looked at in the future.